Seoraksan National Park is widely regarded as the most beautiful in South Korea, and it's home to one of the country's toughest hikes. In this video, I explore this hiker's paradise to experience some heartwarming Korean culture and climb Daecheongbong, South Korea's third highest peak, where I'll spend the night in a mountain shelter. The next day, I take on what many consider to be the hardest trail in the country, Dinosaur Ridge. So let's see if it all lives up to the reputation. Seoraksan National Park is located in the northeast of South Korea. The easiest way to get here is to take a 2.5-hour bus from Seoul to the seaside town of Sokcho, which costs around 13,000 to 30,000 won. I would recommend spending a day or two in Sokcho, either before or after your hike. It's a lovely coastal town and a great place to relax. If you're interested in what you can do there, check out my video linked above if available. To reach the park from Sokcho, take bus number 7 or 7-1 to the main entrance. The journey takes about 30 minutes and costs between 1,500 and 2,500 won. If you're planning to complete this full hike, you'll want to start from the park entrance no later than 9 a.m.
Alright, we have arrived and I am so excited now. But in case you aren't aware of today's plan, we're going to go hike the tallest peak in the park, which I believe is called Daecheongbong, and it is 1,708 meters, which makes it the third highest peak in all of Korea. In fact, we're not just going to hike there, we're going to stay up on the mountain as well.
The first section takes you through the beautiful Cheonbodong Valley. Here we follow the crystal clear waters of the Sangchon River to a split in the trail below the Sundae Peak. One of the first major landmarks you'll pass is the Sanhungsa Great Buddha. After crossing the southern bridge near Sanhungsa Temple, you enter the trail proper.
We're past the temple now and it's going to take about 8 hours to hike up to the shelter that I'm staying in tonight. In fact, it's probably going to take me a bit longer because this is one of the steepest sections in the park that I'm going to follow up to the shelter. Additionally, I'm carrying a very heavy backpack for all my water, food, spare clothes because it's going to be very cold tonight, and camera equipment.
This section of the trail eases you into the hike gently as you follow a flat but rocky path along the river and under thick tree canopies, which provides some shelter from the sun. Near the end, you'll start to get more epic views up the valley.
Wow.
Eventually, after an hour or so, you'll reach the split in the trail where we take a left to head towards Daecheongbong.
Okay, here we go. This is what it's going to be like the rest of the way up. Look at these stone steps. This is what I've come to know and not love of Korean hiking, but more accept of Korean hiking. But check these out. This is going to be what I imagine the trail is like for the rest of the way up, combined with some wooden staircases.
The next section of the trail will take us to our lunch spot at Yongpuk Shelter. This is where the ascent begins and it won't stop for the rest of the day. The climbing starts gentle though, and many sections have a boardwalk to help you on your way. If you haven't already, you'll start to feel the baking heat of the sun from this point as you dip in and out of the forest sections. Although any discomfort is offset by the pleasant sounds of constant rushing water.
This trail follows a river valley the whole way up to this peak, and the whole way along the trail you're walking alongside the river and there's various rock pools and waterfalls and cascades, and it's so tempting to just jump over and dive into them because the water is so crystal clear. Just look at this.
Before you know it, you'll arrive at Yongpuk Shelter, where, if you stop for lunch, you might get to experience Jung, a Korean cultural concept that describes feeling connected to someone through shared experience, even as strangers. Jung often shows itself through small, caring actions rather than words. Whilst hiking in Seoraksan National Park, hikers often experience this in the form of strangers being willing to share their food with them. So be sure to pack some extra rations so that you can return the favor. This is an incredibly heartwarming experience and definitely helps bring you back down to earth through the appreciation of community.
So I've stopped in a shelter to get some food and lunch and take a little water break, and these nice men have given me these guys have given me some gimbap, so thanks very much. Kamsahamnida. As I've said before, little interactions like that really make this trip, and I'm so thankful for that gimbap. How nice is that, just sharing food? I have heard that as Korean culture to share food when you're hiking, and I swear there's a word for it, but it's escaped me. So if you know, let me know in the comments. But it's so nice, just a nice culture of sharing food, and yeah, a nice bit of community. And now I've just been given a coffee. How nice.
From Yongpuk, we push on to Hyungak Shelter, our final pause before Daecheongbong. This section is short but relentless, although views of the beautiful Cheongdang Falls provide some early visual and auditory relief. Then it's nothing but long metal staircases, steep stone steps, and no mercy. It's the kind of climb that tests your legs and your mindset.
Whew, right, warm. It's been about an hour since we left the last shelter, and we're almost at the next shelter, which I believe is called the Huan Gak shelter. But we have been climbing on this rocky path. It's really hard to tell on camera, but it is steep. It is about, I don't know what the granite would be, somewhere between 35 and 25, probably 30. But it's steep and it's relentless, and I'm actually enjoying it. It's not bad. The midday heat has passed and we're now cooling down, so yeah, let's press on. And it's funny when the Koreans pass me talking to this camera, because they look so perplexed as to what the hell I'm doing. So we've reached the second shelter and we're 5 hours in. So we're exactly on schedule, because we've got another 2 hours of climbing to do to reach our shelter. So if anything, we're actually an hour ahead of schedule, but I think by the time I make it to the shelter, with taking videos and photos and just with the slow pace I'm going, it probably will be about 8 hours. So we're looking to finish up around, it's 3 hours away, about 5:15, or between 5:15 and 6, I would say. So I think that's exactly when I thought we would. I think I said between 8 and 9 hours at the start. So we're making good time. Anyway, go and drink this water and head on. But check out this shelter. We're 1,000 meters above sea level, and it's like a big modern building just there. Mad. Anyway, water, hike, let's go.
I won't lie to you, the next section is pretty boring, because as you climb up a ridge to reach Daecheongbong, all you have to look at is the next step in front of you, as the surrounding trees are so thick that they block any views, except for in a few select places. From there though, it's a very easy walk to the peak before we head to Sochong Shelter, where we'll spend the night.
One more thing I wanted to add is I just found a massive tick on me. So please wear long sleeves and long trousers where possible. It's just far too warm for me to do that and hike comfortably. But luckily I got the tick before it started sucking all the goodness out of me. But yeah, be warned. About an hour and 20 minutes after we've left the last hut, we are at the top of Seoraksan Peak. Now, this is the crossroads. To my left is the highest peak at Daecheongbong. To my right is the shelter. And I did say I wasn't going to go to the peak, but it's right there. And now my legs are carrying me to the left. So I guess we're going to the peak. Let's hope it's worth it. Just for your information, so there's actually a shelter that was built closer to the summit of Daecheongbong, but it is currently under renovation. Well, although it looks like they've just demolished it completely. But it is supposedly going to be open at the start of 2025. So if you are coming to do this hike, maybe look at booking that shelter, because it is higher up and it is closer to the summit. It's probably about a 20-minute hike from the summit, which we are about to start climbing. Do you know what? Even though I've been talking to this camera for the past month and a half, I still get really embarrassed when people catch me speaking to it. And I didn't realize, because the sun is really intense to my right here, so everything on my right hand side is in shadows. But that last clip where I was just like screaming at the camera, there was 2 people in the shadows just sitting watching me. I only realized they were there because their alarm went off. What can you do? Here we go. We're seconds away from reaching the top. (1,708 meters. It's a bit windy. Woo! I want to savor this for a minute. I'm so happy I pressed on and did that. Although I don't know if we'll do it for sunrise now, but we'll see when I get to the shelter. Speaking of which, it closes, or you have to be checked in. You have to be checked in by 7, and it is now 6:15, and we're about a half an hour walk away, at least. So let's get there. I'm going to show you the shelter, show you inside hopefully, and let you know what you can expect when you come to your own shelter in one of the national parks here in South Korea. Alright, we have arrived at the shelter for tonight, and I'm so glad, because my feet are killing me. Well, let's go check in. Right, that is us all checked in, and obviously there is no food up here on the shelter, or at least not offered in the shelter, other than these energy bars. So I am very glad that I saved some of my gimbap for dinner, because that's all I have. So I had to go and buy 4 energy bars for dinner, and I'll probably buy some more for breakfast. I also bought a little sachet of like sports mix to put in my water. It turns into like an energy drink. So the reason I'm telling you is, if you're coming here, do bring your own food. I'm bringing enough to last you the 2 days, unless you want to last on energy bars like me. Now, I thought I'd be fine, but now I'm not so sure. But yeah, I'll get through it. But a lot of people seem to bring their own stoves. They don't offer stoves here, but they do sell gas. So bring like something like a little pocket stove, and you'll be able to cook your dinner up. And yeah, come and enjoy the views whilst you eat your dinner. This is probably one of the most scenic places I'm ever going to have an energy bar dinner. But I'm very happy. And all I have to do now is enjoy my dinner, and I will take you on a little tour in through the shelter. So in another mark of Korean hospitality, I've been given a huge big orange. This is only 1/4 obviously, but the rest is in front of me. I can't get over it. So nice.
On top of that, we were treated to a beautiful sunset, and what made it really magical was that everyone in the shelter watched it together. It really gave me another feel for that concept of Jung, as we were all united by our mutual experience in getting here, and we're now reaping the same rewards.
So after I had my dinner, I sat and watched sunset with a couple of the guests here. It was really serene. It was cool to see everyone just focused on the one thing too. But I'm going to give you a little room tour right now, and it shoes off at the door.
Now, because this is a mountain shelter and not a hotel, don't be expecting showers or beds. Don't even be expecting sleeping pads, because all that is provided is a designated space on a heated wooden floor in a gender segregated room. There aren't any sleeping mats, pillows or blankets for rent either, but you're welcome to bring your own. I didn't bring my own, and like many others, I simply lay on the floor and fashioned a pillow from my gear, which was way more comfortable than you think because of how toasty the shelter was. And honestly, I think it added to the experience, but that's just me.
So this is my room for tonight, and it is only 9 p.m. and everyone is already sleeping, apart from that one guy on his phone. So I'm going to do the exact same and hope to get up at around 5 or so. Okay, apparently you can make as much noise as you want. I'll catch you in the morning.
The next morning, like many other hikers, I awoke before dawn and headed back up the mountain to enjoy a beautiful sunrise. Honestly, if you ask me, mountaintop sunrises are one of the best experiences available to us. Steep and rocky descents, though, are not, but that's exactly what was needed to reach the start of the infamous Dinosaur Ridge hike. You'll know you've reached the ridge when you see these steep metal handrails to haul yourself up over the ridge. Not only will you be seeing a lot of them, but you'll be using every single one of them. Trust me. Although the climb is probably easier if you're not using one hand to video yourself. After conquering your first few handrails, you'll reach a viewpoint which offers a few beautiful vistas. You can look back at Daecheongbong, or you can look along the ridge that you'll be traversing.
Only about an hour into this trail and it's already more scenic. Look how beautiful this is.
I advise you to savor the views because it does not get any easier from here, and honestly I can't say that the views get much better either. The ridge is only about 5 kilometers long but can easily take 3 to 5 hours to cross. In that time you can expect to do a lot of scrambling, from climbing tree roots to rock hopping with the help of some man-made pins, and of course burning calluses on your hand as you scale more of those lovely handrails. The terrain is so variable that it's hard to find your rhythm. Couple this with the fact that you're well exposed to the scorching Korean sun, and even the most skilled and experienced hikers could get a little frustrated on this hike. Not to mention you'll be drinking water like a jet drinks fuel.
I've just got done climbing a peak called 1275, but it sucked. It was just so steep. It was like 50-degree slopes, rock slopes the whole way up, and you had to use ropes and metal railings to help yourself along, but it took a very long time and it hurt. But anyway, that's the halfway point, and I believe There are 2 more peaks, and after that we're just on the descent all day.
The hike gets a little easier after this point. Not only that, but you are awarded just a handful of epic views to boost the morale. On top of that, you quickly enter some wooded sections which provide some much needed shade in order to take a break or to simply take a sip of water. Anti-blister socks are a must for this hike because you're walking on coarse granite the entire day, so friction burn on your feet is real.
Oh, I am so happy. I've just reached the last peak that I'll be climbing today. That was so tough. And I think if you come with lighter equipment, it might not be as bad, but it's definitely sore on the feet and the knees. That's what I came across today, right behind me. Up there is where we were last night. 1,708 meters. Insane. Even from here it looks huge. Anyway, let's get down because I am ready for some lunch and some water and coffee and tea, energy drinks and everything, and a shower. But it's been great, but it has to come to an end.
I found a small bench beside this sign and decided to sit down. 20 minutes later, I opened my eyes to this view. Turns out my mind was willing to continue, but my body was not.
I just had a wee snooze on a bench under a tree there, and it was delightful. It was great to take the weight off my feet. So don't be afraid to have your own little snooze if you come here, because I've seen a lot of Koreans do it too. So when in Rome.
We were now on the home stretch, with just one final but grueling downhill section to take us back to Basunde, where the path split on the previous day, but not before making one final stop.
Ooh, that last section really sucked. It was just a constant decline over rocky slopes and rocky paths, and yeah, very sore in the knees, feet and the glutes. But we're almost at the bottom. Before we are, we've got one last stop. We've got the Gumgangul cave, which is right up here somewhere. So let's go check it out before we go back down. We are officially out of water. This cave is going to take it out of me. It's quite high. That was a real struggle to get up these stairs, but look what's at the top. It's a small Buddhist shrine. Check this out. This was a cool little find, but it's time to get down this mountain and get me some water because I am dying.
Folks, we are pretty much done. All we have to do now is follow the path back to the park entrance. So, concluding thoughts then. Yes, I can easily see why Seoraksan is considered South Korea's most beautiful national park, and I would love to return here in the autumn when it's at its most beautiful. I can also see why Dinosaur Ridge is considered the hardest hike in South Korea, but I don't think it's hard from a physical standpoint. More so from an environmental standpoint, as you're constantly walking over rough, friction-generating granite at an inconsistent pace, all whilst being subjected to the relentless baking sun. That being said, this was a great cultural experience, and if you're a keen hiker, this is definitely something you should add to your South Korea itinerary. And with that, I will say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing to help support the channel. Catch you guys in the next one.